Blog Talk Radio. At this pivotal time in humanity's evolution, we are beginning to remember our organic technology. A technology, when used correctly, can create an experience that the majority of the people the world over want to live. It is time to use this technology consciously for our own benefit and healing, and no longer unconsciously for our own demise. We are divine creators, creating both our own personal experience and our collective experience moment to moment. We invite you to join us as we reawaken this technology through experiment and experience our power to create and manifest. Become part of the 3%. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Collective Imagination for Tuesday the 2nd or Wednesday the 3rd of July, depending on where you are in the world. Today's topic theme is around the creativity that we talked about last week and the week before that has really burst forth from all of you as a result of the information we've been talking about. And we do have a shared dream, it seems. We have a shared dream of creating communities and environments where people of like mind, like soul, like heart come together. And the crew here, Brian, Bob, Chris, myself, Dee, have all been inundated with information and messages from people from all around the world who either have properties or they've found properties that they've held a dream for so long. And we just want to start talking about that, start sharing the information and the resources, helping everyone come together. So, let's get on with it. Chris.
Good morning, everybody. How are you? Good morning, Lisa, Bob, Brian, and to all the one people out there. Welcome back to another show. And it's a very natural flow on from everything that we discussed yesterday. And we didn't have that much time at the end of the show to really expand on what comes next, but that's what we're here to do today. So let's have some fun with it.
Let's have some fun with it. Hey, Bob.
Hey, Lisa. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. I am so excited. I feel like I'm jumping, like my stomach is upset, or not upset, but butterflies. I'm just... I'm anxious.
I know the feeling.
I'm anxious to do some doing.
Food and I aren't getting along very well right now because I don't know. My stomach's just in a constant state of anticipation.
Yeah.
And how are you, Brian?
I'm really good. Bob, if you could just tone down the excitement a little bit. It's contagious, and I really don't appreciate it because it's rubbing off on me in a major way. No, I actually really do appreciate it. It is contagious, and I share in the excitement that so many are feeling. I think that the energy after yesterday was just through the roof, and there's definitely an air of anticipation that's in the air, and everybody's just like gung ho to get to work and start doing. I think that we kind of covered off on it a couple weeks ago when we talked about everybody saying, well, I can't do this and I can't do that because I don't have the money to do so. Well, the stage is being set for that no longer to be the case. So what we're entering into is a time now where people can start asking themselves the questions of what do you want to do if you have all the resources that will allow you to do it. And so, no more excuses. It's time to start putting ideas out there, collaborating with others, and creating. So, gosh, if that's not fun, shit, I don't know what is. Excuse my language.
And Brian will be joining us shortly, so that'll be, I'm sure she's going to have much more to add to the conversation.
And we're also bringing in, we're going to bring Hope Girl in. Hope is listening in right now, and we're going to bring her in at some point. She's going to talk about some of the stuff that she's doing with her Fix the World project. I'm sure that she'll have some great stories about some of the projects that she's involved in. So just as a prelude to what to look forward to.
And we'll have a poem from Jerry.
A poem from Jones. Exactly.
Okay,
Always
Dee, have we got you?
Hello, darling.
Hello, darling.
I'm here. It took me a while, but I'm here.
Hey, Dee.
How is
So
everyone doing?
we're good. What time is it there for you, Dee?
It is 1:05 in the morning.
Yep, just to make sure people know that time zones are a problem. The sooner we get rid of time zones, the better, actually.
Yes, I'd like to get rid of. I vote that we get rid of all time zones. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, there we go.
How about
The ayes
in
have it.
general?
I do declare it done.
Maybe we do need the world to be flat. So. Okay, yesterday's show. Huge. The information that we shared has sparked. Wow, it's just sparked something in everybody that listened to it. I know people who have listened to it for three or four times now. They've just gone over it and over it. And people are allowing themselves, finally, to acknowledge their dreams. And that's just so exciting. One of the things that sprung up about this seems to be the shared vision we all have of coming together in communities and really connecting.
Yeah.
You wanted to talk a bit about Morocco, from what I gathered.
Well, how about we backtrack a little bit first, because I'm trying to get. I haven't even thought about that, to be quite honest with you. I've been so focused on everything else that we've been doing for the last 3 days. But we can definitely get back to that topic.
Mm-hmm. Jeez. Okay, go on.
So here it is. Listen, I mean, this is the thing. You're right. The whole communities thing. I have been saying. I just keep repeating it over and over again for, I guess, about 6-7 days now, saying, build it and they will come. And I have gotten emails and Skype messages from so many people who've heard about just this and that, little parts that they've taken from some of the conversations on the radio shows and the articles and what we've experienced and written about. And they're, I'm so coming. I have got this, I do that, I have experience with this, I just have to be there. And that's just it. It's all about community. And that is the grand plan. Once we get past, finish this piece that we're all working on this very second, that is the major doing. The major doing is going to be creating something that is brand new. Completely and totally brand new.
You know, Lisa, can I mention what I was just mentioning before we started?
Absolutely.
There is a prophecy that the prophet Habakkuk in the Bible saw. And in Habakkuk chapter 2, in verses 6 through 8, it says, "Woe to him who piles up stolen goods and makes himself wealthy by extortion. How long must this go on? Will not your creditors suddenly arise? Will they not wake up and make you tremble? Then you will become their prey, because you have plundered many nations. The peoples who are left will plunder you, for you have shed human blood, and you have destroyed lands and cities and everyone in them." Does that sound like it applies to today?
Your creditors will rise up.
Yes.
Yes.
And how old is that, Bob? Any idea?
It's about
At least 35 years old.
I meant the text.
The book of Habakkuk was written after the fall of Babylon the first time. So, I don't know, some historian out there might be able to answer that. Between the fall of Babylon the first time and the fall of Jerusalem. So there you go.
So you're talking about between 584 and... Wait, no, Jerusalem fell in 584.
Yeah.
Babylon fell
Oh, wait. Habakkuk might have been right after Jerusalem fell. I would have to look that up, though. But right around that. It was a very long time ago, yeah.
Indeed. Incredibly appropriate. It's just, I mean, given one of the things it serves to point out to us is that we're still running under the same system. Okay, and it's still got the same problem. It has these crashes, which are obviously deliberate, and it has, the intent of gathering up energy in the form of property and money, etc., whatever the system manufactures, and using it against the people. And that's been going on for thousands of years in different forms. And that the result is the same every time. The creditors rise up and take it back.
See, the question is for everybody, obviously, how far are we away from getting these documents out and available?
We are extremely close. I'm going to talk to you now. The reason I was late coming on the show is I was over talking to Heather, and I'm going to. Heather has asked me to pass a message on to everyone, and to ask for a little bit of help from everyone at the moment. We have had here. And the last 72 hours have been really bad. But the last 36 hours here have been beyond anything I could have ever comprehended for bad. We haven't had any loss of life yet, no loss of limbs, and no one sent to prison. But pretty much everything else we've got covered. And that's just in the last 36 hours. So the distractions are coming in right now. It's beyond ridiculous. Problems with kids fighting, problems with just everything. Sickness. Kale lost his toenail today. Computers breaking down, internet dying, you name it. Running out of gas for the stove, so I couldn't make coffee this morning. Now let me tell you.
Oh my God, of all those things you just mentioned, that's by far the worst.
Well, listen, let me tell you, Brian, in the last 48 hours, I've had about 7 hours sleep. And it's now 1 o'clock in the morning, going on about 49 hours.
Uh-oh.
And there goes an internet again.
While we wait for Dee's internet to come back,
coffee this morning.
We can't hear you, Alan. You're a transformer, so.
Oh, damn it.
Everyone,
am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. Sorry, guys. I am sitting in a little glassed-in room, hoping to get internet reception, but at the same time closed. That's the weird echo you're hearing because there's no furniture in here to buffer everything. So I apologize for my lovely voice. No doubt it's brilliant. Anyway, so what I was just asking everyone is, we have had so many things happen. All the documents would have been finished Sunday. They would have been finished yesterday. They would have been finished today. And we have had nothing but continuous, every 2 minutes almost, interruptions, distractions, problems. It has been unbelievable. So Heather is requesting help from everyone on an energetic level. If you can just kind of put yourself out there and help us clear these distractions away. I've seen the bond. I've seen everything that she's doing. I've already seen it all. She has literally got it 90%, probably 95% written. She's a matter of going through and making sure that the wording is just right. So we reviewed, there's going to be 2 documents released. So let's go back to that and I'll review it. There's going to be 2 documents she's going to release. The first one is really, really important for everyone to read first. It will, in very easy, concise terms, outline the original value system, how it was changed and warped into the slavery debt system that we have now, and how the new value system fits into and will run. It is a brilliant thing. It really, really is. And there's going to be a whole lot of people who are going to read this, who listen to us talking about be and do, and eternal essence consciousness. And they're going to read this document and go, oh, I get it now. It's that vital a document because before people can move forward, they have to fully understand the value system, how it works, what it's based upon, and the history of it. They have to know how that original value system was warped to turn it from a value system into a debt-less system and a slavery system. So we were up last night until I fell asleep right before the radio show last night. I'm really sorry, guys. I really was meaning to be on. I fell asleep on my couch. We were reading through it, and I was going through and saying, okay, no, this line here needs to be more concise. This needs to be reworded so that it's clearer and more understandable. Things like that. So that is what Heather's working on right now, and she's had a few little insights today into actual words. You know, we've talked about the importance of words, the difference between empower and in power. You know, embodiment and embodiment. So she had a couple of really big insights on that today, and so she went through and changed some of the wording to reflect those insights. The bond, I hate calling it the bond, it's not a bond, the template, let's call it the template, is done. I've already seen it, I've already read through it, it is absolutely brilliant. She is changing the existing, what is already there, what she already has, to fully and completely reflect the new value system. So again, both things are like 90% done. Tomorrow, she is going to get up and she is going to leave the house and go to a cafe somewhere and just sit down and try and get it all done, with no distractions, where no one can find her. She says, I'm not even going to bring myself up. Just so that there's just to get rid of it. But her big request is, if everyone could just energetically help us clear some of what's going on around us at the moment, we could really appreciate it. Like, really appreciate it.
Dee, I just had a message from Sandy and Kim, who were on the show week before last, who were part of the crew that cleaned up the parasites. They're bringing their whole squad, so they're
nice.
coming to assist. They'll be there.
Awesome.
They're actually what they said was they're already on it. So expect some assistance immediately.
Tell them that Heather says thank you. I say thank you. All our kids say thank you. Our spouses say thank you.
Yep. Well, there's about 5 or 6 of these ladies, and they're a bunch of mama bears. So you should feel the effects pretty quickly.
Okay. Well, we like I said, it's the last 36 hours here has been. I talked to Lisa and Vera and Brian earlier. Brian came in, you came in towards the end of it, so you missed me ranting. I had already kind of, come down the other side of the mountain by the time Brian got on the call, so he missed all the good stuff, all the cursing and the swearing. But Lisa, you got a little taste of what we've been going through.
I will, as somebody who was out in Morocco and has witnessed events like this, I mean, this sounds like it's on Mega Drive compared to when we were out there, but this kind of thing happened.
Nothing.
But it did happen on a much smaller scale, which seemed like a very large scale at the time when we were trying to make our way from Tangiers out into the desert. It was like little things kept coming up one after another and after another. We all had to finally just surrender and laugh at it because we realized it for exactly what it was, which was energetic distraction that was intended from somewhere. So this is the same thing. So if everybody can just focus the energy. Angie had a great idea. Why don't we all do one big, deep core breath together? This is Angie's idea. I like it. So we're going to do a deep Inhale through the nose. Everybody in the chat room, everybody listening, when we do our inhale through the nose, we're going to breathe in peace of mind and stillness and a freeing of all distractions. And when we exhale, we're going to release it all and allow the energy to that's no longer serving to be released, to allow Heather total ability to focus on nothing else. All right, big deep breath in. Ready? 1, 2, 3, in. And out. Woo! Perfect. Thanks, Angie. Okay, back to you, Dee.
Okay, Dee. What about moving on to Morocco then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, before we depart the documents, Dee, I was having some discussions with Scott and Ken yesterday about what's coming, and really, everyone's so keen to get going. We're trying to work out what to call it, because we don't want the word bond either, because it, bondage, slavery. It's so we're trying to work out what to call it, and what it really is. It's a deposit of our value, or a declaration of our value. But either way you cut it, it's DOV. So we decided to call it a dove.
It's a dove.
A dove. DOV. Dove, meaning dove of peace, of course, because we're declaring peace here.
Well, that's it. It's a declaration. Simply put, really, that is what, it starts with I, so-and-so, do declare, right? The bond is the dirty word. I keep saying, no, we're not going to use that word. I agree with you 100%, Chris. Now, here's the one thing I want to talk about. If you guys don't mind, I want to talk about something that has come up. I've been anytime I've had online, I've been trying to monitor the various chat rooms and the Skype rooms and listening to what people have to say and what people are talking about. Now, here's the thing. I'm getting a lot of people saying, we're all going to band together, we're going to, pull together, go to a bank, and all work together. But we're also getting a lot of little bits that I'm hearing is people saying, oh, well, I formed a group, now I'm going to go in.
Well,
or
Transformer.
saying, well,
Transformer.
am I gone again? Can you hear me? Can you guys?
Yeah, you're back. We heard that there are large groups of people who are wanting to come together and work together as a group, and then you're getting others who are...
Others who are kind of trying to either talking about, kind of making a representative who will go in and represent the group, et cetera, et cetera. And this is what I want to say to people. And I've said this over and over again in the chat rooms today. This is about us doing for ourselves.
Brian, are you typing away?
Oh, that's not me. That's not me.
Oh.
Just kidding, it was me. Sorry, I'll move.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. This is about every individual taking responsibility for their value.
Yes.
And I said this in one of the rooms today. I said, you are being handed your freedom. Why would you try and set up another system where there's someone to represent you? Right? I just want people to think about this. If everyone wants to, say if you've got, a whole bunch of people in New York, let's say, or London, or Toronto, or Sydney, and then I'll say, okay, let's all get together. We're going to pick X bank, and let's go do this there. So we get hundreds of people, thousands of people, all coming in with their declarations all at once. It has a massive impact. Great. Do it as an individual, being fully responsible for your own value yourself. But as soon as people start talking about representing groups, etc., I'm just like, no. Do you not understand where that leads to? People need to take responsibility for you're being given your value, has been brought back to you. You have access to your value. yours. It's about your doing, and to hand that off, I shake my head. I just wanted to say, people, you have this opportunity to do for yourself, but you also have the responsibility to do for yourself.
Dee, this came up on Bob's show, Bob and Julian's show on the weekend, the transitioning. They had a caller come in who, with the best of intentions, was saying, you know, I've been talking to my friends. They're kind of hesitant about it. They don't have the confidence. And I said I'd help them do it. I forget whether she said she'd help them do it or do it for them. And really the same comment came back from Bob and Julian. They really need to do it themselves. And if you help them, it's just to help them to find the confidence, give them the information, rehearse it with them, whatever you need to do. But it's a declaration of your individual free will. You're exerting individual free will, which is absolutely pivotal, because as you said, it's got to be done by each sovereign individual. And I even hesitate to use the word sovereign, because it really does come out of the old system. But if someone can think of a better single word to describe what we're trying to describe here, please suggest it. But you really need to exert.
Heather said it herself in that recording, that you teach a person how to fish, not provide
exactly. That's precisely what we've got to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I get that there will be people who are nervous, or they're not confident yet about walking into a bank and having these conversations, and they would like somebody else to do it for them. I get that. But the more you read the documents, the more you actually really embody the idea that you are the value. If you either believe it or you don't. And if you truly believe it, then the confidence comes.
It's a matter of motivation. If I were to tell you, right, you needed to learn German, right, in 1 year, maybe you'd do it, maybe you wouldn't. But if I told you at the end of that year you were going to get $1 billion, guess what? You'd be learning German in a year.
Yeah, mein Herr.
Exactly. This is educate yourselves. You can't just say it. You can't just talk the talk. You have to be able to walk the walk.
Indeed. In fact, one of the things that I find is useful is to, if people are a bit hesitant, to shift the language a little bit so that it's closer to the core of their confidence, and using the term "you are the creditor," for instance, in relation to the conversation you're having with the bank. It sort of engages people's confidence, because they understand what a creditor is and what a debtor is, and it's a little less abstract than the term value. And if you're trying to create a greater understanding with someone who is working their way into their point of confidence, that's probably a good tactic to use. And a part of the conversation that Scott and Ken and Uwe and I are having about what kind of material we can produce to help people to build their confidence and get the appointment and do what they need to do. And we got lots of ideas. We're actually going to wait and see the documents first to knit them in with the language of the documents. But that's definitely something that will come out. And I'm quite sure around the world people will be doing the same thing. They'll be producing information to assist in people learning enough, gaining enough confidence to go in and just assert themselves, assert their individual free will, and place their value firmly in front of them.
Here's a point, is that people in the beginning, because I haven't read, obviously these documents haven't been put out yet. I don't know how much explanation is going to be on there as to how to go about approaching your bank and what the process is going to be. I don't know how much coaching that Heather is going to do there, but I would be more than happy to record some audio, like we talked about doing with the Courtesy Notes, but actually doing it this time between myself and Chris, myself and Bob, myself and Lisa, whoever, where we role play. And we keep it, the person walking into the bank is going to keep it, in my eyes, this is the way I see it, very, very, very simple. It's going to be a function of sharing the documentation, say, you very well may not be familiar with this type of a transaction, but I assure that your bank is set up to allow this kind of transaction to go through. You show them the paperwork. You say, I need to set up some kind of a meeting that allows me to, have a talk to somebody about this. Let them read it. Let them respond to it. Let them say, well, I've never seen anything like this before. I'm going to have to bring it up the ladder. And it'll just allow the conversation to develop. You don't have to go into some long discourse about the UCC filings and the foreclosures and all of those things. Just make it a very straightforward, respectable, open and honest, but straight to the point conversation, and then allow it to flow wherever it ultimately goes. So, for those people that are nervous about doing that, I'm not one of them. I'm going to be the first one in my bank with this thing, and I'll report on how it goes down. And everybody's going to learn from each other's experiences, but it's nothing that anybody needs to have any fear around. It's just something that you have to, you just got to go in there and do your thing. So I think right now people are envisioning it in their mind that they're going to have to go in and give some really long discourse to their bank to try to get them to understand what's going on. That's not necessarily the case.
I have a train now, so I'm not going to say what I was going to say. I'll mute out.
Yeah, look, there's going to be much creativity around this that'll come forth, and there'll be ample material from all sorts of sources. Role playing would be great, be very, very helpful, and of course this is going to have to be something that's material that's translated to many different languages ultimately as well. So once we get the process begun, which should start as soon as the documents come out, there'll be all sorts of hands on deck needed to burst this information into life so we can start acting quickly.
Well, one of the things we're totally in the midst of right now is undoing all of the programming. And part of that programming is a fear of authority figures. And anybody who seems to stand between you and what you want is an authority figure. So that person at the bank, from a particular perspective, that's what they are. And we just have to undo all of that. That's what we're in that process of.
Indeed we are. We're basically unpicking an enormous tapestry that's been woven over a very long time. And we're just the folks to do it. And there's plenty of us out there to do it. We had, 1,700 odd live listeners yesterday? It's 1,700 people who know what's going on and know what to do next.
Oh, that was just the initial blog talk.
That's just the initial blog talk.
Blog talk, and yeah.
Yep. Now, when that translates into thousands of thousands of more downloads, and those downloads are passed on and the information's passed on, there's going to be tens of thousands of people who know what's coming, and equally will have the confidence to know what to do. It's that first wave. Once the first wave has done their thing, it will be a lot easier for everybody else, because the banks, there's going to be such a volume, they will have to set up special little departments to handle this, so it'll all become fairly smooth in the end. But I absolutely believe that it needs to be an individual going in there one at a time and carrying out this process. Absolutely.
Oh, I don't think there's any problem with people going in groups, but as long as they present themselves as we are here on individual business.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're not here as a group with a representative.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it makes more sense if you're going to organize a group, spread it out and everybody go in once an hour, so they just get overloaded with individuals all coming in with the same. Talk about a shock to the system. You might look at the first one and be like, "Well, that was interesting," and then all of a sudden you get another and another and another and another all day long. All of a sudden now, they got to take a second look at it.
Mm-hmm.
That
would be wonderful.
Here's the thing. We know, I think the last time we all actually discussed it, that approximately anywhere between 10 and 15 million people have heard of the OPPT, have at least heard of something to do with the OPPT filings. Now, some of those people, obviously, they've wandered off, they've done some of this, they've done something else, they've gone on to do their own thing, but they already have some little piece. When you get those amounts of people, it may start with 1,000 people who go in first. And from there, all those other people who've heard of at some point in the last 7 months, they're going to all of a sudden go, oh, really? Oh, this is awesome. And they're going to be right back on board. And I can see it very, very quickly going from 1,000 people to 100,000 people to 1 million people to 10 million people very, very fast.
Yeah, well, that's the shift. That's the repurposing.
Hold on. Let me make a comment real quick. There's people in the chat saying that Project 13 isn't coming out, and that this won't work because there's no Project 13. I need to squash this right now. None of us have said that Project 13 isn't coming out. That Project 13 not being out yet doesn't stop any of this. When Project 13 does come out, people will have access to a digital account. Caleb ran into a few bugs that needed to be worked out before the software could launch. With programming, those details and those bugs, you thank your lucky stars that they came out up ahead of time, because if they come up after the fact, the whole system comes crumbling down. So no, Caleb never. It was other people that gave dates to which they thought that Project 13 was going to launch. They ended up being a little bit presumptuous. And when these things come up, you have to roll with the punches. So no one has said Project 13 is not coming out, nor do you need Project 13 to be out in order to allow this to happen. So if that's not clear, I don't know what is, but I just want to make sure, because there's some interesting comments going through the chat right now, and that's absolutely not the case.
Yeah.
Well, and this goes back to what I said in the interview I did with Caleb. Project 13 has nothing to do, or is not part of the IUV and change. They are separate entities. You don't.
Hang on. The comment that needs to be addressed is you're telling people to go in and ask banks to exchange their UV into dollars without a digital account. We're not asked I'm not sure if I understand that, but we're not asking them to exchange our IUV account within Project 13.
No.
Into a Federal Reserve note account in a bank. No, that's not what's happening.
No. Your value is yours. It doesn't require a Project 13 account.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly the point I was trying to make.
Yeah. Now, if you go back and listen to that interview from yesterday, Heather was very clear. There's two things going on here. There's the concept and the execution of the IUV exchange, which ultimately will end up being in digital form, usable in digital form through platforms like Project 13, okay? And then there's this other documentary process, which she calls, if you like, an old style system tool, so that we can establish some of our value, carefully, back in the old systems for the purposes of helping us to exit the system and to do things now in the system to really start moving things along. These are separate issues. You're walking around in your value. When you walk into the bank, you're walking around in your value, and what you're doing is going to
your value
saying,
in the door.
I'm going to deposit some of my value with you because I have a need to do that, and we're going to come to a contract completely independent. It's just between myself and the bank. Now that documentary process with an existing functionary like a bank is a completely separate use of your value to using your value in the IUV exchange. Okay, you're going to be doing both, so they're not related to one another. Other than the value is coming from you.
The person is the underwriter. The person is the creditor, not Project 13. Project 13 isn't underwriting anything. It's not. They're not standing in as being the creditor of anything. So that's just a really important point that needs to be made. There's a huge difference there.
Well, and made again. In fact, Project 13 is just a platform.
And just so you know, you don't need to have that digital account to point to. In this initial phase of doing, there is that, as Heather said, in the documentation, already set aside that $5 billion plus the $5 billion for this first moment of doing. So they can be pointed to, right, to underwrite, it's already been underwritten is what I'm saying. They only need to be pointed to, and that is going to be something that their system can recognize and work with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Their system, one thing that point that I made last night that I picked out from what Heather said in her interview, which is worth repeating here, is that Heather knows the system well enough to know that it's designed to do these kinds of transactions. It's just never been shared with the public before. What she's doing is she's taking her knowledge of the system and she's sharing it with the public. And if the bank says they can't do this, they're actually proving their own insolvency, or they're admitting their own insolvency. So that's where she's getting all this information from. I mean, this isn't based on any wishful thinking. It's based on something that Heather knows through experience, through her 20 years of experience in bank trade and finance, can be done, and it will be done. And so walking in there with doubt energy isn't going to make it happen a whole lot faster. I realize that a lot of people have a lot of questions, but these are questions that will be answered in time. Just like the courtesy notices were very successful for some. There was one person that had a situation where they wrote off $36,000 worth of debt. They haven't contacted me all but once since making my last January car payment. There's a whole other laundry list of people that had success with the courtesy notice that they thought this absolutely can't be done. This is just another situation where people were going to realize that it can be done, and all it has to happen is one time.
Mm. That's the key thing, Brian.
The first document that Heather's doing shows this isn't a new value system. This is the original value system. Before it was warped and dissected and taken apart to be turned into a debt and slavery system. This isn't a new thing that's like, the new age, This is going back to the original value system of what value is. What all the banking is based on. But they don't tell you any of it. That's what we've been talking about for months and months now. The lies perpetuated by the financial banking corporate government system.
Okay, Dee, I just want to say something, and then I really want to leave this behind and move on to the subject that we want to dedicate this show to. This is specific to the question that's going through the chat room. Okay. There is no difference between this process and the process that has always existed of you walking into a bank and filling in an application form or signing any piece of paper, and what the bank then does with it. The only difference here is you're walking into the bank with your own piece of paper saying, I know now that you use that application form, that deposit slip, that everything I put my signature on, and you create the value from that because I'm the one with the value. I am the value. And you create the funds from that. So the only thing that's happened here is the veil between you and the bank and how it operates has been lifted. And now you're walking in there with full knowledge of how the system works, and you're walking in there with your own piece of paper saying, okay, here's my deposit of my value. I'm giving it to you willingly and knowingly. Now let's do the same thing you've always done.
Yep.
It's the same process. Nothing's changed, except now it's happening transparently. So,
well said.
For
Lisa.
any of you who haven't gotten a chance, there's a 5-minute video on the IUV.com that Scott Bartle had put together called Bankruptcy.
Highly recommended.
Take the 5 minutes and watch that video, and you'll see in their own documentation, it clearly states that this is how it works. If you look at Modern Money Mechanics on page 5, it says what they do is when the borrower deposits his promissory notes, it is deposited as cash. It says it right there in their own documentation. So it's not It's not a fairy tale. This is the way it works.
Lisa's absolutely correct. What's occurred is that we now have a very large group of people who have the correct information. And based on our experiences in the last 6 months of being and doing, and I'll translate that into reality, the courtesy notices, the foreclosure flyers, everything we've physically gone out and done, we've learned that we can actually get an effect out of the system by injecting the right energy into it, and this is the next phase. Given the information we now have and the experiences that are now behind us, we are ready to do this. There's no coincidence about Heather waiting until now to do this. You can't do this in ignorance and without the right confidence. And it would appear we are ready.
Yeah, I think we are.
It's really, really funny because after listening to the interview, I had several people message me from the RTS Skype room saying, wow, I get it. I understand why it took 6 months to get to this point. Because now I understand everything. 6 months ago, it was words on a paper and someone speaking to me, but I didn't get it. It took 6 months to get to the point where we are now, where people intrinsically understand and resonate and understand what that resonance means to be able to move forward. And now is the tipping point.
And we're ready to create.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. In fact, what we're looking at here, this is a collective imagination show, and what we're doing is moving to a point where there's going to be a very large group of people working on individually manifesting an event which, as a sum total of the energy injected, will manifest into a huge event very rapidly. This is co-creation.
Exactly.
So I think, Lisa, one of the things about this show is we wanted to move on to a discussion of what comes next.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, Dee, do you want to kick that off? And then we'll bring Hope Girl in.
Well, here's the thing. At this point, the plans are growing exponentially daily. The big one that we're talking about hugely at this moment is, obviously, you start with community. And in the true sense of community, and building a community where people are working together, living together, going through all of this. But it's also about the doing, right? So we've got my husband who's working on free energy projects. I have had contact with a pile of people who are ready and who are like, okay, man, let's go. Green energy, free energy, the whole bit, let's go. We have people who are contacting us about eco-farming and setting up new proper, these new farming techniques that take, 1/10 of the land and is so much better for everyone. We're talking about healing centers. We have, again, people contacting us continuously now saying, oh my goodness, I'm working with something that's similar to what Vera was working with Bob, and this is so great. Other people who have all different aspects of healing, from naturopaths to energy workers to you name it. To the point of we have people who are organic chefs contacting us saying, we're coming. And it's about building the community. And once it starts, everyone sees it, and it's just going to roll. Because when people see what we build here, what we create here, they're going to say, I can do that. I can do that, and I can do it even better because I'll add this. I'm going to focus on this aspect, whatever. And that's it. It's all about doing now and showing the world and everyone around, yeah, this is how we do it. And look what we can do.
Well, I actually agree completely with Julian's vision that he had on the way back from, where was he? Mount Shasta?
Mount Shasta. Mm-hmm.
That there will be these global communities springing up all over the world, and they'll all have their own flavour. You know, there'll be the love and light crowd, and will have their own flavour, and those who are really into working with the environment, with nature, will have their own flavour, and those who are into, you know, building cob houses and mud brick houses, or there'll be another lot who like teepees and yurts, and they'll be everywhere, and you'll know, you'll just resonate with certain groups, and you can spend your time in being involved in those communities and traveling from community to community.
Mm.
You know, it's funny. It's funny because one of the really awesome parts about the whole community is everybody says, you know, I don't have anybody that I can talk to about, you know, about this stuff in my life, and you know, all I have is coming into online and listening to the shows and doing the chat room. Well, now all of a sudden everybody has an opportunity to not even necessarily be online all the time, but to rub shoulders and create with like-minded people in the same community every day. I mean, that is so much fun. I mean, because when people are together and you bring like minds together and they're living in the same area, I mean, you create this energy, you create this space for absolute awesomeness and beauty to unfold in so many different ways, a myriad of ways. I mean, the possibilities of what people can do in these types of communities are literally endless. I mean, you can't even come up with some of the stuff yet because these are the types of things that haven't even been created yet. The types of cohesive groups that will create things that there's no frame of reference point for them yet because it just hasn't been created. But that's what we're on the precipice of now is creating the opportunity for all sorts of new awesome things to be created. So it's just endless.
The other thing I like about this is all the conversations that I've seen that have been around building community is the additional theme amongst it that it's about soul groups coming together and building these communities. Yep. It's not just about jumping in with a bunch of strangers or people you don't connect with. It's about these soul groups coming together, and that seems to be a real thirst people have right now, is to connect with their soul groups.
And I can tell you this, when you get a soul group together, oh my goodness, energy, you're talking about it. You're talking about an amplification that you've not experienced before. You're talking about a remembering and a feeling of family and home that you it's incomparable. And once it happens, you're not going to want to be around anyone else.
Yeah, that seems to be the way it's going, and the bottom line is that huge energy burst you get from being with Soul Group. Imagine the degree of manifestation, the degree and the ability of the magnification of manifestation. And I think this is where the communities will grow so quickly and be so effective, is because of that huge energy release between soul family members.
Agreed. Let's bring Hope on, because most of you are familiar with Hope Girl. She's the woman behind the Free the World project. Are you there with us, Hope?
I am here, everybody. And it's Fix the World. Fix the world, Lisa.
Fix the world.
Hello.
What did I say?
Hello.
Oh, I am trying to hold myself. Free the world. But you know what? It's the same thing. Same thing. You know, you can't fix it if we're not free, right?
Yeah, they kind of go hand in hand, really.
Yeah. So I just have to say, I am doing my best to hold back my excitement. First of all, I love you all, and I've missed you tremendously, and it's so nice to be back here with you. I have so much to share that is just completely in alignment, and it's on the other side of everything that we've been talking about when it comes to creativity and soul groups coming together. And the reason why I'm so excited is because while all of you and so many others have been doing so much work to create these changes and make these things happen, I've been with the Fix the World team, I've had my head down and I've been working my tail off as well to create the other side of this. And I'm really just so happy to share with you and everybody listening what it is that Fix the World has created, which is for everyone. We have been creating essentially the playground for all of us to develop our dreams in a real, tangible way. So, first of all, just to give you a little bit of a background, Fix the World, we are here for everyone. And what we do is we focus primarily on humanitarian projects, and we know that there are so many needs in our world. Basically, there are things that are happening. People are waking up and they're finding their own dreams within, and they're trying to figure out, how do I take my dream and how do I make it a reality? And as you were talking about earlier, this is happening all over the place on a global scale. And I know this personally because we just filmed a documentary film where the Fix the World team went out on the streets and started speaking to random people and asking them what they would do to fix the world. And you can see the awakening and the awareness and the inspiration and the dreams that were coming from average, everyday people on the street. It's happening all over. And the main thing is that when you have all this creativity, you get to a point where you realize, I'm going to need a lot of help in order to figure out how to implement my dream. And that is what Fix the World has been creating. We've been creating a dynamic platform to help everyone, everywhere, all soul groups, whoever wants to participate to create their dreams and turn them into reality. And we're here to give everybody the tools that they might need to make it happen. So that's just a little bit of an introduction to what we've been doing. And what we're about getting ready to release in the next couple of weeks is this new platform. I mean, right now we have a website, and we've got some projects up there already. Lots of the projects that Dee was talking about, very similar projects. We have free energy projects and eco-villages and alternative education systems to educate our children. I mean, people with ideas are coming forward with their ideas in the form of a project, and we're putting them up there to try to spread that awareness and say, this is what we can do in this community, and this is what we can do in another place. And it's global. It's in many, many different countries. We have no borders. We're here for everyone, like I said. What's so exciting is that I see what's happening, and I think I was Skyping Brian yesterday. I said, Brian, Hopalicious is on fire right now because I was listening to your show, and I just had this vision of all of these beautiful beings all over the planet with all of their ideas, who are finally going to have the chance and the freedom and having their value back in order to implement them. And I sat back for a second and I said, holy crap, Fix the World is going to be mad busy. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna plug Hope's work here a little bit because I can't. What you've done with your organization, I mean, Hope came bursting onto the scene. Gosh, it was what month was it in 2012? It was like December of 2012 when she did the While You Were Sleeping, I think, post, and it was like the one of the most succinct and revealing and well supported and well documented discourses on the system and everything that's happened and where we are now and where we're going, and then she put out the call for people to submit their ideas to her organization. 230 from how many countries? Hope, what are the numbers?
30, close to 300, 285 submissions in essay form from 37 countries around the world.
From 37 countries around the world, all giving their ideas for solutions to some of the world's greatest problems. So, if you're one of those people that you want to be a part of something, but you don't necessarily know what it is, all you have to do is team up with somebody that already has a vision and support theirs and read through some of these entries and some of these groups that Hope now represents, because there's some of the most amazing, fascinating stuff I've ever seen. And if anything, you can read through this stuff and visit Hope's website. to get an idea of all the amazing things that are coming. And what resonates with you, you can make a choice and make an affirmation and maybe help support something like that, but maybe in your own way or even with the group that's doing it. And the problem is, because I know from watching the video, I was so blessed to have the opportunity to be on that. Hope, thank you for that. That was amazing. But if you haven't seen the video, the documentary, it's great. But the problem is, because of the level of suppression with all of these amazing technologies that exist, you have all of these inventors that they get their projects snuffed out by those that are in power that stand to lose something major. If something like free energy comes out, what does that do to oil? So they can't get any backing or commitment or funding from any investors because the old model wouldn't allow for it. And so you have all of these people that want to invest in these new projects, but you have all they haven't made any money yet, and they're too risky, and they haven't shown profitability. And now all of a sudden, with the announcement that came out yesterday, a solution is now being presented to allow all of these groundbreaking new technologies and developments to have the supporting and backing that they need to get off the ground. So I understand Hope's excitement, and I think I'm on the right track with this, Hope, but this opens up so many doors, it's just unfathomable.
If I can add to that, Brian, I want to explain why this will work. Because all of these people who have these ideas and different projects, and they were seeking funding from investors, from banks, and getting the door slammed, this is the comb the mirror effect, because they were looking for value outside of themselves. They were externalizing. They were looking for someone to fund them or to give them value to breathe life into their vision. And this is like combing the mirror. If your hair is not right and you comb the mirror, nothing is going to change. You've got to change the source, which is your hair. You've got to comb your hair. And that means it has to come from the source, which is internal. And because now we are moving forward and we are not seeking external value, but internally, then therefore the external must change. And that is why this will work.
Bob, what you're saying cuts directly back to our previous conversation here, and I won't dwell on this, but I don't want prosperity payment handouts. I don't want anything from a Swiss Indo. No. I don't want someone to come and fund me. I want my own value, and I want to use it for something that is going to make a difference to this planet. And if it comes from within me, it's worth infinitely more than a handout.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. This is empowerment. This is empowerment on the inside.
Hang on.
It's the strongest of all.
There's a difference between a handout and making an investment in another person. And I'm all for people investing in each other and supporting one another without it being a handout. There's a big difference.
There is, and what I'm really talking about is handouts from the corporations.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, I don't want that. I want it to, if I want to make a contractual arrangement with a group of people to achieve something for a community, okay, not a handout. Okay, that is a real investment.
That's a true co-creation.
It is,
because you are adding your energy to a common vision.
Yes, beautifully said.
So Hope, I've been thinking for a couple of weeks that what we're going to see is a website that lists all of the communities that are coming on board, detailing
Absolutely.
their particular flavour and their needs. And so that if people are really feeling moved to sort of become a part of one of these, they can go to this website, they can scour what's there, look at what's needed, resonate with the particular group, and put their hand up. And
yes.
Is that facility is within what you're talking about, this new website that you're launching?
It's that and a whole lot more. And, the best way for me to describe this to everybody is I wanted to see if I can take like 2 or 3 minutes and have a little fun. And I'm wondering if, Brian, if you can be my guinea pig for just a second to give an example. And I promise I'll be gentle.
You don't come on. You know me. You don't have to be gentle. Let's do it.
So let's do a little bit of role playing here, and this will help to explain just what we can offer. It's a website, but it's a platform, and it's so much more. So Brian, so let's say you're one of the people on this planet that has an inspirational idea. You've just found a passion. There's something that you want to do that's going to help the planet or whatever it is. Can you think of what that is? And we can use that as an example. And then we're going to walk people through some of the practical questions that would be asked and how we can help in each one of those questions to implement that idea into reality.
Okay. Yes, absolutely. Well, let's just use a fictitious one, even though it's one I've dreamed about for so very long. But it's not my number one, so I want to make sure that people understand that going in. I want a flying car. So all right. So I'm the person. I'm looking to get funding. Or excuse me, I'm looking to present on your site is what you're trying to say. So I'm asking the kind of questions that allow me to say that one more time.
So yes. So are you the one who's built the flying car, or do you know somebody who's made a flying car and you want to make it available to people?
I built it.
You built the flying car. Okay,
yeah.
Here we go. So you're a mechanic and an inventor, and so you have your flying car, and that's what you're really, really good at doing. You're good at building machines. And you showed it to your neighbor, and all of your friends are impressed, and it works and everything. And you've tried so hard to get your idea out to the world, and you've come up against one obstacle after the other, and you just don't know what to do or where to turn. So you come to Fix the World, and you say, hey, I have a flying car, and I don't have any idea what's the next step. So you can create a project from your car. We're going to teach you. We have self-training courses that we're putting together to teach the average individual who has their own specialty how to present their idea in a plan. You can call it a business plan if you'd like, but let's just look at it for what it really is. It's a plan. First, I have my car, and then the next phase is that I would need to find a manufacturer or create some kind of an agreement with different people that might be able to help me distribute my car in the factory, whatever it might have to be. But that comes out together into a plan. We can help you create that plan so that it's nice and organized and on paper, which is something that you can follow in order to make this happen. The next step is you've got your plan, but you're not good with money or value. You know how to build cars. You don't know how to manage money, right? You have no idea how much this stuff is going to cost, or what the value exchange would be for the different parts, or how much the factory might charge. We can help you go and find all those numbers too, so that you can come up with a budget. So now you've got a plan and a budget. The next thing is you're just one guy, right? So you need some help. You need some people who are also mechanics that share your vision, that want to build cars alongside you and want to work with you together. So there's a community that you can join and Fix the World, and you can find other people who like to build cars. And they can be anywhere across the entire planet. So everybody gets together to build the car, and now you've formed a team. Now, let's say you've got all of that together, and you need some funding. You have a budget. People are exchanging their value. There's money available now, and you want to open this up to allow anyone who'd like to participate. If they want to support other people in their projects, they can, donate money or invest or whatever that arrangement might want to be, but you need to collect that value somehow. So now we have a crowdfunding platform where we can open that up. You can present your project. You can make a video of your project and put that up there and say, I want to build a flying car, and give it to everybody in the world. I have my team built. I have my plan. I have my budget. This is how much we need. Can you help? Then people start to help, and they start to give money or sign up for whatever they might want to in order to help. And now you're fully funded and you're ready to implement. Now you need to manage your project. We have project management software that we put together that's built into this platform that will allow you to communicate with all of your team members across countries and post updates on how you're doing on your project to the world. Anybody who's interested in knowing, are they on phase 2 or phase 3 of their flying car project, and when's it going to be ready for everybody? So those are some of the tools that we have been building in this platform.
Very cool. And obviously, you interchange flying car with just about anything that you could possibly. I mean, the topic, that keeps getting thrown around and is so hot right now is this sustainable living community. Wait, hold on one second. Here's my question, since I can't. When everyone has their funding because they have the access to their value that they need, then funding will not be necessary. So yes, obviously the conversation from yesterday and the developments from today, it redesigns it changes the rules of the game quite a bit. But no matter what the scenario, what's great, what I can really appreciate about what Hope is doing is that it has the ability to bring together people to create together. Whether it's a for-profit business model or everything is going to be created to be given away for free and the money is irrelevant or a non-issue, it still can bring projects and people that want to work on projects together. It's a platform for that, and that's a big part of it. So
Very
kudos.
well said, Brian. Very well said. That's exactly it.
So very cool.
And the other thing too is that we are just that. We are just the platform. We are the playground. We encourage for everyone to be sovereign and transparent. So we don't own any of these projects. We're just here to help other people meet like-minded individuals to co-create together.
Yeah.
Hope, what it sounds like to me is you created a very advanced form of what is called crowdsourcing.
Yep, absolutely. And I have to say, haven't done it alone. I definitely have. First of all, I have a fantastic team. The Fix the World Council, whom if anybody has seen our documentary, you got to meet all of them on the film. And we've got over 40 partnering organizations with a wide variety of skills. I mean, we have like subject matter experts as well. We have world-class physicists and engineers and scientists that are waiting in the wings, ready to help others on their projects. So it's definitely not just me. And this particular platform, I have to give a lot of credit to Valiant Marketing, which is one of our partners, who has stepped up to help us build this. And it's really, I've seen it. We did a walkthrough, and it really razzled and dazzled me, and it's going to be coming out in a couple of weeks. So, yeah, very, very exciting. And I can't wait to just offer it to the world and let everybody give them the tools that they need.
Hope, can I ask you how you actually were able to fund the documentary? How did that happen?
We funded the documentary through crowdfunding. So we put together... Yep, crowdsourcing. We put that together through one of the different crowdsourcing platforms. This one in particular was Indiegogo. And we put the campaign together and spread it out through our social networks, which is something else I have to say that we've created quite the social media network, and we have a lot of social media tools. So another thing we can offer to individuals and groups who would like to partake in our services and tools is we have the network. We can help blast out your idea to thousands of people to help spread that awareness. So that's how we fund the documentary.
Yeah, and how long did it take to actually, once you activated the project on that crowdfunding website, how long did it take to get your budget for the project?
Oh, I'm trying to remember. I think it was 60 days.
60 days.
About 2 months, I think.
Yep, and David Icke's news channel got up in, actually it was something like a week or 2 weeks, and he was overfunded. And here, here it is. Everything the One People have done so far in the last 6 months has either been funded in the fashion you're describing, or there's just no budget. People just put their energy into it. And look at the amount that's happened. And if you had to sit down and cost out everything that's been done by individuals towards this process, I hate to think how many millions of dollars, possibly even very, very high numbers of millions of dollars have actually been, equivalent energy have been
Can you imagine if the Australian government tried to pull something like that off?
Impossible. No,
millions, and there'd be...
And they'd never complete it. There would be an election, and they'd lose interest, and the whole thing would get shelved. The way it works. But when you put a bunch of people together with the right motivation, bang, it happened.
Something else I have to just add in there quickly, Chris. It was a blend of people's energy and in the form of labor and sitting over a hot laptop for 18 hours a day for 5 weeks straight, and raising funds, because we initially had a much larger budget and we didn't meet that budget. So we came in under budget and we got really creative and everybody stepped up to the plate, and there was a ton of volunteer work involved. So it was, if you put together, like you said, millions of dollars worth of labor and energy in order to create the product.
You know what the beautiful part about that too is, Hope, is that it's a testament to the power of bringing determined people together on a task. It doesn't matter what kind of wrenches you try to throw into that system. There's absolutely not, once you girls, I know there's probably some men in there too, but everybody that interviewed me that day, it seemed like it was a room full of women. What did I call you? Fifth dimensional patriots, 5D patriots. But when you all get together like that, there's absolutely nothing that could have stopped you. There could have been a hurricane. It could have wiped out the whole freaking server, and the next day you would have been back up online and bounced right back into it because you had already committed to seeing the project through. If more groups can come together with that level of determination, miracles happen daily. I keep saying, as a quote I get from my friend Jake Ducey in his email signature, miracles are normal. So when you expect them, they happen more and more. So, I mean, how freaking cool is that? You guys bang that out in 5 weeks? I mean, so imagine what 100 people can do together on a sustainable community in Morocco or Australia or any little area tucked away in the world. It doesn't matter. You get the people, they have a vision, they start putting their ideas into action, and everything springboards to create an energetic trail that is laid out. And it doesn't matter what kind of storm comes in and takes out some of the trail or not. Everything is going to play itself out eventually somehow, because you have so much intention behind it that's driving it and powering it every step of the way. Beautiful.
I have to say one thing too, and I know that I think Dee might have left us, but I just want to pass this on to her and Heather as well, with all of their technical difficulties that they're experiencing right now. For us, when we went through our project to put this film together, it was not a walk in the park. We had the same kind of energetic interruptions and technical difficulties. The most bizarre stories happened. We were trying to transfer, massive files of footage back and forth between the United States and New Zealand, and it was one comedy of errors after the other when it came to technology, and we all dug deep and continued to have that drive and determination, and we did blast through. And I think because the film itself is so powerful, it's a portrayal of all of the projects and the planet-changing ideas and possibilities for the future. What we were bringing forward, because we are a soul group as well, it definitely there was a disturbance in the force, and that's kind of what happened with our technology. So I completely understand what Dee and Heather are going through right now with the technical difficulties because of what they're trying to bring through at this point in time.
Hope, one of the things that Julian's revealed about soul groups coming together and manifesting together is they actually create a quantum field.
Yep.
Now, quantum fields apparently are easily detectable by, let's call them our partners in contrast. And, of course, they then have their own specialists come in to try and disrupt that field. And I'm quite sure that's what you experienced and what Heather's experiencing and other people around the world will be experiencing. And
yes, we have experienced it on multiple occasions in the last several months.
There you go. But we have the numbers. We have the if you like, the superior motivation, because the people that they're using to mess up our quantum fields, they're paid employees. They don't have the same motivation that everybody involved in the soul group will do. They will never fully disrupt anything. It's just a nuisance. And we can push through it, as you obviously did, and kudos to you, because I know how difficult it is to do that kind of technical work in different locations where a lot of file transfer is required. It's difficult. It doesn't take much to disrupt things.
I just want to say, Chris, that I do love that term, partners in contrast.
Yeah.
I'm thinking because I was thinking something they and them and, the cabal and all those horrible words.
It's a higher perspective. The term comes from a higher perspective, from the perspective that this is, if you like, a game that we're playing out here, and we have to acknowledge that. And it brings in a degree of compassion for all concerned. So I like it a lot. Yeah.
I do too. So pass that on to Julian then, if he's the one who came up with it.
I think he is. Yes, I'll have to ask him because I do remember I can't remember what his reply was when I asked where it came from. However. What I wanted to bring up about Hope and her crew was the aspect of the Soul Family. Hope, you feel that members of Soul Family actually found themselves in this project, found one another in this project. They were drawn together by it.
Oh yes, and I mean I won't go into the story behind it, but it is very magical and nothing short of just miraculous coming from Source and how we all came together from all these different continents. It's beautiful.
It was so funny because Hope and I talked something about maybe a week and a half ago, and we were just laughing at each other's stories because Hope and her team got together right around the same time, a little bit before our group gathering in Morocco, and we thought, wow, how there's so many parallels in our stories, and that it was comical, and it's just such once again. A representation of what's happening on a much larger scale. That there's so many soul groups coming together and waiting to be formed. Because if you don't feel like you are one yet, you're gravitating toward one, whether you probably realize it or not. The energies are pulling you there. You just haven't seen it made visible into your life yet. So don't feel left out. Like I want my soul group and I don't have one yet. Trust me, there's a soul group for everybody. We're all part of soul groups that go back many lifetimes, and it's so cool to watch them operate together because it's absolute. First of all, it's hysterical. Second of all, it's magical and a lot of other things in between.
Actually, Brian, you're touching on a subject that's related, which is people seeing what's going on in their current reality starting to fall apart. And if that's the case, I'll let it fall apart, surrender to it, because it's probably very likely going through a process of detachment from all the stuff that you need to detach from in order to then move into and find your group.
And the other door is opening in that process.
I mean, there are so many relationships breaking down right now, whether they've only been around for 5 minutes or whether they've been around for 50 years, it seems to be irrelevant. And people are drifting apart, and they're drifting into their own, making their own new connections.
Yeah, things have to be broken down before they can be built back up stronger, and more durable, and from a whole new level of existence. And that's what's happening across the board right now.
Now, Brian and Hope, that when you were comparing stories, were you really comparing the incredible number of synchronicities that occurred for the processes you're talking about? Was that what you...
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Hope.
Absolutely. I can just say that what I've been summing it up to is what I personally call quantum living. I've had my own experiences with synchronicities and then reaching out to people and getting to know people, over the internet. But then strange things happen, like I'll think of somebody and then at that moment in time they happen to call me. So it's a quantum thing that's happening. I don't have the eloquent words to put it into, but it's definitely happening across the board. And it's gotten to the point where when I make connections with beautiful people like all of you and with Brian in our conversation, looking at our experiences, definitely synchronicities. And I have to tell you that I was there. My heart was there with all of you in Morocco. And I loved reading your stories. And I loved watching your videos. And Bob, I want you to know that I cried when I saw that, because I felt the energy that was going on there. And we really are truly all connected.
Oh, thank you, Hope. And we felt you there, too. There were so many around us.
Yeah, I'm forming a picture of how this works, and the quantum field that's created is actually based on those connections being made that Hope's referring to. Because when you make that connection, you could call it a telepathic connection, energetic connection, whatever you want to call it in the quantum field. It's like a ping on the pool that we're living in. And from what's been described of the process in Morocco and in Mount Shasta and by you, Hope, is that the number of synchronicities becomes so high, it actually becomes continuous. So that quantum ping is a continuous field. And when you get people in physically the same place, because that's what Julian said about Shasta. He started counting synchronicities and then gave up because there were too many. He was talking thousands of synchronicities over a sort of 5-6 day period. He gave up because they were all living in that continuous flow of synchronicity. And I think that's an interesting way to consider the quantum field aspect of it and how it actually comes into being. Fascinating stuff.
I have to share one thing really quick because people need to know what we did in Boston while we were filming this movie. For everybody that knows, the Boston bombings occurred about 3 weeks before we were scheduled to start filming the documentary. And so as part of our journey, we went to the site of the bombing and did some energy work there and flipped the energy. We turned the energy around because we all know what was really trying to be done there. And so we went there to reverse that energy and neutralize it. Very, very powerful experience.
Nice.
Well done.
Very cool.
Well done. Well done.
Thank you, Hope, for coming on and sharing everything that associated with Fix the World and where it's going. And please keep us posted on when the website goes live, and we'll certainly get the word out as well.
Oh, absolutely. Well, the website's live now. You can, not the full platform, but you can go to our website right now, which is fixtheworldproject.org, and you'll find all the information that you would ever want about us and me and what we're doing in our projects. And again, it's so great to be here with you guys. I'd love to just stay on and listen to the rest of the show, and I miss you all and love you all tremendously.
Aww.
We love you too, Hope.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks to all your incredible work, Hope. It's brilliant.
We just have a few more people to bring in, and we're running out of time, so we want to, again, thank you. And we're going to bring Jerry in. Jerry rings in regularly with one of her amazing poems, and she's got another one for us today. Jerry, are you there?
Hello, yes. Good evening, good morning, and all the other times we're at.
Exactly.
It's still morning for me.
In this moment of now.
That's right. Go ahead, Jerry. Give us one of your poems. Lay it on us.
This one is very relevant for now, so I'll make it short and sweet. It's called Footprints. It came flowing in just at the very end of last year. I believe this stuff comes from my higher self. This one is very profound for this moment. It was a message to me. It's now a message to all humankind. See the light that guides your star. Let it show you who you are. See the light that shines so bright. This light shines daily and at night. Ask your guides what you can do to help humanity start anew. Watch for footprints to guide you there. If it feels risky, do you dare? Now starts a new age. It's time for change. It might seem scary and somewhat strange. Do not falter. Walk brave and bold. It's time for the new. Out with the old. Hold your head up. Stand way tall. Assert that you are able for it all. There is only abundance, love and peace, and all negativity you will release. Woo! Yeah. It's
I love it.
Yay.
Wow.
A Jones original.
It's one of my favorites, and it's a message to everybody. If we can just listen to that, and I see it to me, it says, if it feels risky, do you dare? And that's me. I'm like, but yes, I've got to do it. You know, I've got to change. I've got to do it. I'm going to walk into the bank. I've actually hooked up with a wonderful woman called Carmel in Connecticut, a couple of hours away, and we're going to go to a bank together. We're like, yay! And we've made a really good.
Oh, we know Carmel.
Oh, Carm. She's listening. Hi, Carm. We love you.
Yeah, she's really cool. So we had a great conversation today, and we're buddies. We're on the road now. We're on the road to success and freedom. So
Beautiful,
cool.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We do
Yeah.
enjoy your poems each week.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Okay. Talk to you. Bye.
Bye, Jerry.
Bye.
Bye. Ah, she does so well. Okay. Wow. I'm just sitting here soaking it up again today.
When
just
are you
hearing
not
it.
sitting here? Just
Yeah, soaking it up. No, there are moments. I have my moments. I don't quite have Brian rants, but I have my moments.
I don't think I've had a proper rant yet tonight.
No, you
Close.
haven't.
Close.
I'll get there. We still got a half hour.
Yeah, you ready to go?
No,
No? Okay.
I'm kind of eating in the background. It's dinner time, my time, so I'm multitasking.
Yep. Thanks for sharing, Brian.
Yep.
I had a thought last night, and this is going back to the value discussion just for a second, but there are some financial gurus out there who talk about, trying to get people to get a handle on spending, and they try and get you to equate the cost of an item with how many hours you've worked for it. Is that $200 pair of shoes that I'm drooling over really worth 20 hours or whatever of my time that I've earned, my time that I've spent to earn that money? And that's one step towards where we're going. I mean, I saw myself now handing over money, whether I'm buying groceries or whatever I'm doing, and seeing that cash in my hand as a representation of not the time it's taken me to earn it, but of the true value that I am. It's a representation of my value. And, when my law of attraction work over the years, I've learnt to, say thank you and be grateful every time I've handed money over, the fact that I've had it to hand over. But this is taking everything to a whole new level. And I was also thinking about all of the phrases that have come out around money, and and how saying things like money is irrelevant or I'm not attached to money, has been seen as a kind of enlightened view, when really now I look at it, it's another way of getting us to separate ourselves from the value that it represents. And I think, I don't know, I just want to put it out there that every time now that you hand over cash or you swipe a card, which is even one more step removed, but see it for what it is. This is a representation of my value, and I'm prepared to exchange my value for this item. And that might actually get you to question what you're buying, for starters. But also, the energy around that whole exchange changes. It will for me anyway. So I just want to put that out there.
One of the interesting things about Heather's approach to the accommodation agreement she's spoken of is consciously, knowingly, willingly nominating in a contract with another individual, another entity, that you're going to have an exchange and that you're going to nominate an agreed representation of value for the exchange. See, I don't really have a problem with doing that as long as you know that it's a representation of value and that both parties are happy to use that particular representation in this particular exchange. That's a completely transparent transaction between two entities. Now, we've been in a veiled situation. Everything's been hidden from us. And as Heather said yesterday, the system actually works really well, but it's not transparent. And the hidden parts are the parts that we have to excise. And we can't be overly sensitive about the term contract and using contracts, because we still have to come to arrangements of agreement with one another, no matter what we call them. And a representation of value will be part of that. And in the end, when we have the technology or the knowledge or the biotech of the human body to do it just on energetically, we can dispense with all representations. But at the moment, I'm willing to trade coffee for stuff, or my time, not just money. So yeah, it does shift your perspective when you become really conscious that we've just had our attention completely focused on only one option for representing our value and for carrying out transactions. And we were never told why, and we're never told how it works. Well, now we know. It's transparent to us.
Okay, we do have some callers to get to before we run out of time here. Is everybody ready to go for that?
Ready.
Ready.
Indeed.
Okay. We have area code 424.
Hello.
Hello. What's your name?
Hi,
Hello.
this is Andrea C.
Andrea.
Yes.
Welcome.
Hi, I don't think I've ever gotten to talk to you because you were in Morocco the first time I called in.
Well, I'm here now.
Fielded me.
Hi, Andrea. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm good.
So I had a couple short questions and a more philosophical one. I'll toss you the short ones first. The idea of going into a bank and depositing a declaration, making a declaration of deposit. Can we just do that with credit unions instead of banks?
This is a good question that I've been
right?
asking myself.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I've got a local credit union that I went to and ran them through a whole battery of questions to ensure that they weren't connected to a bank, that they weren't underwritten by a bank, that they weren't even partially owned by a bank before I signed up. And they assured me that that was the case. However, are they still, running on the same banking practices? Are they still under the same system in terms of being insured? Or if all of those things are still in place, then I believe they can do this as well. I mean, even though they claim that they only use members' deposits to loan out, that doesn't mean that they are not connected to the system that will allow this to happen.
Right. It's whether they monetize signatures. They may monetize things to a degree. They may, they're entitled to take their cash assets and kind of, expand that, like create assets from it and resell them many times over. We don't know how much they're doing that. So I think we'll find it varies, and the only way we'll really find out is to go and see them.
Cool.
I think whether they do or not, I think if they're in the banking system, they are probably entitled to do it should they wish. But do they? And that's the question. We'll get answered when we ask it.
Right.
I'll be making an appointment with the person as far up in the chain as I can manage at my local credit union and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to have somebody making money off of all of this, I'd rather it be a credit union and not one of the Wall Street banks.
Well, one of the parts that Heather, I know, has been working on is creating literally our terms and conditions which will preclude them from monetizing it other than for the purposes of the deposit that we've requested. So they won't be able to take it out and play their usual games with it, is the intention there. The only money they should make out of it is the fee that you negotiate with them. And one of the interesting aspects of this is that one of the things I will actually stipulate is that I don't want them to pay me any interest. I only want them to receive a fee when they make a transaction for me. Because I can go and I don't need to enrich myself by playing in their interest system. If I need more resources, I can simply create another value deposit and place it, have a second contract with them to place it, make it available to me, place it in that account. So, what I'm suggesting to people is as far as humanly possible, do not allow the banking system, the parts of the banking system you have to interact with, to play their usual games. It needs to be restricted to just your use and at your will as to what actually happens to it. Very important.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we do revitalize the system.
Does that answer your question, Andrea?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, here's the second, and I don't know if this one is a short one, but if you can't answer this one short, you can just skip it and answer it next time. But it's been mentioned several times that there's $5 billion, and then there's another $5 billion you can claim if you claim damages. So the question is, what qualifies as damages, and how do you claim it? And haven't we all been damaged by the cabal?
Yes. Basically, those who are eligible for damages are everybody who's not in the cabal.
Okay, I thought that was a short question. Right.
You've either
All right,
been
so
running
here's
this
the
way for
longer
6 weeks.
philosophical one that might take a little. You might have to play with this one. In the call last night, or maybe it was when you were talking about practicalities, you suggested that people start by depositing a minimal amount of our value and just enough to get us through until the IUV is completely up and running, which made me wonder, what does that look like and what does that mean, the IUV being completely up and running, and how long do you guesstimate it will take us to get there so that we can guesstimate how much of our value we need to deposit?
How long it takes for us to get there, it will depend on us. It will depend on how active we are in spreading the word and educating everybody in the system that there is this new currency board, and would you like to work with I see the conversation going something along those lines. Going to one of your regular...
Okay, and so more about what does that look like? What does that mean, having the IUV being completely up and running? And you can mute me out.
Your IUV
and I just...
Am I on mute?
No. I think what it means to me, Andrea, is that there's so many people in there that it starts to become it's heading in the direction of becoming the normal where everybody plays.
Yes.
And the critical thing about it's a numbers game. And the critical thing about it is those numbers have to include what used to be corporations, but what you'd now call cooperatives, people who create things that we need, like food, like transportation, like clothing, or who provide services. They have to be playing in the IUV as well. They have to be having that as part of their, or preferably all of the way that they transact business with other entities around them. So when we say up and running, the actual software will be up and running and available at some point soon. But it'll be really up and running when there's 20 million people in it.
So if I can go to like the co-op store where I buy all my health food store and get them to start saying, okay, we're going to accept this for payment, and then everybody who shops there can start switching over.
Yeah,
because it's independently.
Yes.
And what happens is that the person who's running that co-op, say it's a bookshop, they have to then educate their suppliers, the people that they're buying books from, the wholesalers. They have to play in there too. It's a matter of taking everybody there.
Cool.
That's actually our job.
Yay.
It's one of the things that's coming up.
You signed up for it. Are you ready? What was the question?
What I mean by a minimal amount is...
I can't hear you. You're sounding a little garbly. Let me just say love to all of you, and you can put me back on mute, and I'll listen to the stream.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for calling.
Thanks, Andrea.
You guys can hear me though, can't you?
I can hear you fine.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, we have another tweet though, which is MC Superken, who came on the other week and sang a song for us. He's got a recorded version, and we've got it in the studio ready to play. Thank you, Superken.
Thanks, Ken.
Take anymore, can't fake anymore, can't break anymore, can't make anymore, can't take anymore, can't fake anymore, can't break anymore, can't make anymore, can't take anymore. For those with ears to hear and with eyes to see, the system's been foreclosed by the OPPT, using their own code to shut down the machine. Most folks don't know what absolute freedom means. Big karma, day, toil, illegal, conceal, big pharma, big oil, big legal, big deal. I am power with no limits, I declare. I ain't running, I ain't hiding, I ain't lying, I ain't scared. The time is now for all to do and be, and take back the reins for all of humanity. Think for yourself and know how to behave, cause it's up to us to stop acting like slaves. Live your own truths to others, do no harm. I said the time is now to sound the fire alarm. Like Gandhi said, you've gotta be the change. Like the Brady Bunch said, you've got to rearrange. Don't fight the tide, go along for the ride. Know what you know and what you feel inside. All that seems external really lies within. We are the true embodiment of the universe. Then we are the light and dark, the stars, moon, and the sun. And the absolute truth is we are really one. That all that is in the image of Creator. Cultivate the love, yo, and bless all the haters.
I love the
Thanks, Super Ken.
haters. Thanks, Ken. That's awesome.
Okay, we have another caller, area code 831.
Hello. Greetings.
Hello. Hello.
How do I
What's your
follow
name?
that up? Wow. Hi, this is Luck Light. Yeah.
Sorry, what was your name?
This is Luck Light.
Oh, hey, Lucklight.
Hey, so Chris mentioned earlier you were looking up like a word to use for what Heather's using, and I thought of in change, like the word that she's using, being that you're walking in there and you're changing it, right?
Mm.
So it's like a hipster in change type of thing. So I like the OV though. That's good too. And also,
you mean the DOV, the dove?
Yeah.
Declaration
But remember,
of
be as peaceful as a dove, but also wise as a serpent. So.
Good advice.
We
actually had a couple of suggestions about the aspect of bringing peace to the world yesterday, and one of the suggestions was the term we're declaring that World War Peace I has broken out. Sorry, no, World Peace I. World Peace I has broken out, and the other was an epidemic of peace has broken out.
Yeah. So,
Both
I study
appropriate.
lexicons. So the other one was the use of individual, right? And, are we in divide, you all? We shouldn't be. We should be united, right, as one.
Exactly.
So
What do you think of a replacement? What do you think of a replacement for the word sovereign? Have you got any suggestions there? It's one we're using over.
Yeah, you mentioned that sovereign was used by the system. So sovereign basically means you're a better paid slave. So sovereign is simply someone that serves the powers that were. So they're not exactly a slave. They're just one status higher. But what I would say for the sovereign being that the word is pointing to being aside from, right? Being sort of standing alone. So I would say call yourself either this one, or if you're bold enough to acknowledge your divinity, you can say, I am the one. So you walk into the bank and they say, who are you? And you say, I am the one.
I like that.
Yeah.
The one who's going to rock their world.
This one works also.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially, I like that because it actually, if we're eternal essence embodied, we are the one.
Yes, and as the one people, it's simply the plural of the one embodied.
So I am the one. We are the one people.
Correct. That sounds.
I think
accurate.
That sounds really and appropriate. And thank you. That's really really lovely.
Yeah, I have one question. It was for Bob.
Yeah, go.
I'm here.
Hi, Bob. So
hey,
my question is, we are the executor in private, and we are the beneficiary in public. Do you concur?
We are the executor in private, the beneficiary in public. Well, not anymore, because those systems are no longer relevant.
Yeah.
And those trusts, that you're basing that on, are all collapsed.
Yeah.
So there is no public or private. Everything is absolute.
Gotcha.
So that whole paradigm, irrelevant.
Irrelevant, yeah.
Expired.
Sorry to interrupt. Did I interrupt you there?
Nope.
Okay. All I'd say is if at the moment, because we're in transition, you were involuntarily taken to one of their purported courts, or you were in a position where you felt it would be appropriate to volunteer yourself for some purpose, then that paradigm would apply. And I think your statement is accurate. I think I'm not the ultimate legalista from the system point of view. There's many other people who know a lot more than I do, but I think essentially you're right that in a situation where you're dealing with the system from what was called the private, you would act in the role as executor, and because that's the most advantageous role in that context. And if you happen to be inside one of their courts and where you're acting in the public, it's an advantageous position to assume the role of beneficiary. But there's different views on that. Depends on which particular kind of perspective you want to take on trust law, and there's lots of different opinions out there about that.
Yeah,
but as Bob said,
in the old system, you are the grantor and the beneficiary. So you are.
It's like we're reaching out and connecting with ourselves.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Lucklight. We've only got a few more minutes, and we need to get to other people.
I know.
But thank you.
Thanks, Lucklight.
And I also want to make an announcement. Bethany has created a new Facebook page.
Which you are putting in the link. Actually, Lisa,
I just put it in right now in the chat room.
Lisa, can I make just a couple of really quick announcements before we do our last 10 minutes?
Yes.
Just a couple of things I need to get out. First of all, a shout out to all the Australian crew. Heather pointed out that Intel had told her the Australians were freaking out the system because of the degree of activity down here. Kudos to everybody from Australia. I mean, it's just been amazing the amount of energy that's come out. And Phase 2's coming up, so let's go and do it all again. Number 2 was...
Yeah, there's no resting in your laurels, Australia. Come on.
But we're about to start up a whole new level here, and that's going to be so much fun. I'm putting out another update with Julian, which will be up later on this afternoon, and focusing on soul groups big time. So you'll enjoy that one. There's also I had quite a long conversation with a local supporter here, Vicky, the other day, and thank you for your call, Vicky. Vicky's concerned that people who've joined recently find it rather joined the conversation recently, find it fairly confusing because they don't have all the information about what's happened the last 6 months. I did a stint with 100th Monkey in mid-March that was more than 2 hours long, describing the sequence of events. I'm going to get that put up on the IUV website for something for people to point at to fill them in on the gaps. And I'm going to do another update that'll fill the gap between now and then, so that we have one place we can say, go and listen to that. That'll give you the sequence of events. Okay.
Actually, to add to that, Chris, Dee put a blog post up this morning. I've already replicated it, and it's full of reference links, full of them. So when you've got links to the conversations of yours, I will actually add them into that post.
Fine,
as well.
Excellent.
All right?
Yeah, because that'll be a block of information for people who've recently found this whole movement.
Yeah, another site. I put that post up on my blog too for anybody that's listening.
Okay.
That it's on mine, AK and D's now. But another site that does a really good job is a lot of people aren't familiar with is understanding the OPPT. Or wait, what is it? Understanding the OPPT.info, and it's a lot of commonly asked questions, and it's put together by a teacher, like a college professor, from his vantage point, and it explains it really succinctly, very clear, and in a really easy kind of format to follow, understanding the OPPT.info, and the link is actually in Dee's blog post as well. Is that it for announcements, Chris?
No, I've actually got a... Oh, yeah, okay, you go.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, perfect. I was going to say the Enjoy show with Judy Janjoya and myself. We had our first week last week. It was awesome. It was super fun. Lisa was our guest. I'm going to be putting a link to last week's show. Just talking about all things joy, everything that makes you happy, and we had a bunch of awesome callers call in. Tomorrow we're actually having Julian Wells and Bob, our own Bob Wright, ladies and gentlemen, as special guests from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific. I'm putting a link on my blog right now. I'm going to be on for the first hour because I got to go do another show at 5, and I'm pretty sure that's Lisa's announcement.
Yes, it is. Did you grab me a link?
I don't have. I thought you were going to put the link in here and I was going to share it.
No, I was asking if you could find one for me because I'm.
Okay, I'll find
it. Okay. Alpha Ra.
Alf's in the chat room. Alf, hook up a link.
He's in the chat room. Yeah, grab us a link, Alf, for tomorrow's radio show. Alf's got myself, Bob, Brian, and Vera on, on as guests on his show tomorrow. And there is a link coming. I know he's frantically looking for it now. Also, another update would be the IUV search section on the IUV.com website. Is a place where you can go to put in email addresses for those who could use courtesy notices. They're looking for more. So if you've got names and addresses or email addresses, whether it's banks, government, whatever, from anywhere around the world, please go there and add them to the list. Also, 5D Media Network, our Facebook page. We really need some help. We need an admin. So if you've got some experience and some time, please get in touch with myself or Barbara on the Facebook page for 5D Media. What else? Is that it? I think that's it.
Alf can't do the link. He's technically challenged. Not his skill set, obviously. I'm going to try. Sorry, Alf. I'm just kidding, buddy. I'm looking for the link right now. I just don't even know what to search, but I'll find it and I'll put it in the chat.
I can't do it because I'm just locked out of the chat room.
No,
Still BTR having issues. So, okay, we've got a few minutes left.
Just everybody's asking for updates on how my walking is going.
Yes.
The walking is going not as fast as I'd like to, but it's according to everybody else, it's going great. That's all I do. I don't hardly use my chair at all anymore. I just strictly use my walker, which kind of limits me because I can't go as far as I can on my chair, but I've made the commitment. I haven't even charged my chair in over a week, so the walking is going steady, and it's still uncomfortable. It's still very painful, but it's happening.
Awesome.
I'm just so incredibly blown away and proud of you because I know how hard you're working. And I know that you want to get up and run, but, baby steps.
You're making me cry again, Bob.
Oh, Hope.
She's still there. She's still with us. And, excuse me, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has expressed their love and support and inspiration for what Bob's doing and his healing. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. It's overwhelming sometimes. I didn't plan on. I can't go there. It's just thank you, everyone.
But you've inspired a lot of people, and I think you need to know that, acknowledge it, and be proud of it because sometimes that's not an easy thing to do, but you really have. It's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. And that chair ride, by the way, everybody that watched that video, was fun.
You were serving a very useful purpose, Brian. Very useful.
And by the way, anybody that was that did watch it, the only Bob thing that Bob stopped for was to swat the flies off his face because the flies are absolutely crazy. They're man-eaters in this particular camp. But other than that, he was on it, man.
Powering along. All right, we only have 90 seconds left, and I know there's a lot of people still there in the queue with their hand up, and I do apologize.
Alpha Raw Show link in the chat room.
Lovely. Thank you, Brian. All right, guys. Thanks. It's exciting. It's so exciting. And everyone who's listening, again, all I can say is as soon as Dee gets through all of her challenges and gets these documents online, you'll find them everywhere. You'll know where to look. And we'll start moving. Have a look at the Facebook page if you do want to connect with other people and go together as a group. But remember, you're doing this on your own behalf as an individual. It's your value. Step into that. Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Yep.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's been a lovely show, really great show. And thanks to Jerry and Hope and all the callers.
And everyone in the chat room, thank you.
And everyone listening.
380 odd of you that topped that.
Awesome. Thanks, Hope. Thanks, Jerry. Thanks, Super Ken. Keep doing your thing, wrapping it up.
Thank you.
Bob, Lisa, Chris. I love you. Ciao, Venus N. Good night.
Good night.
Adios. See you later.
Brian has no off switch, by the way, folks.
Oh, I'm going to see how slow it gets this time. I'm sure he's looking up different languages in between shows too.
Where's my Google Translator app? Bye, guys.